Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of Red Alert. On today's show, we will dive deep into the disturbing report about a fake university created by ICE to entrap immigrants, get their money, make them think they're going to university, and completely pull the rug out from under them and deport them back to their own countries. It looks like at least most of them were from India, but this is an absolutely crazy story here. So yeah, pretty much basically, what seems to have happened in this case is that in a large degree, there were people who thought essentially that they were going in for a university, like they were going to be part of a university. They were enrolled. I think primarily Indian American immigrants. And they pretty much went undercover to operate a fake university designed to lure in these immigrants seeking to obtain student visas fraudulently. But the students are claiming they are the ones who have been deceived. I think they got a case in there. They were definitely not quite getting what they bargained for in this situation, to say the least here. Let's take a look at a report about this. ICE has arrested 250 students over at the University of Farmington in Farmington Hills, Michigan, for violating the terms of their visas, which mandated they be enrolled full-time at a federally accredited educational institution while they complete their studies, an ICE spokesperson said on Wednesday. So pretty much, yeah, I want to break that down. ICE has arrested 250 students at the University of Farmington in Farmington Hills, Michigan, for violating the terms of their visas, which mandate that they be enrolled full-time at a federally accredited educational institution where they complete their studies. But the thing is, like, what if they thought it was a because it was marketed. The thing is, you don't understand here. It was marketed to these prospective immigrant applicants as a completely real university. Like, they had the complete opportunity to, like they thought for the entire time that they were actually going to be in a university and they're actually going to be learning something maybe. That push is really the most stunning thing about this. The University of Farmington, which ICE agents opened in 2015 to weed out fraudsters, did not qualify because it wasn't a real educational institution. Although ICE advertised the university as offering STEM graduate courses, it did not have any teachers, curriculum, classes, or other educational activities. Its primary selling point, prosecutors say, is a ticket to an F1 student visa at the cost of $2,500 per graduate per quarter for graduate programs, plus an average $1,000 per month in fees, according to Detroit's Free Press. It was very, very cheap, pretty much. It was like pretty much giving these people a really easier ride to a student visa and the ability to, really, and I think this is applicable for all ages here, just kind of pursue that student program, which is really kind of crazy. Students on F1 visas can remain in the U.S. legally while they complete their studies and travel freely outside the country. After graduation, those students can apply for an H-1B skilled worker visa if an American employer offers them a job in certain fields. So it's a pretty long and pretty arduous process to get kind of approved in a situation like this. So that is, just a small little tidbit about what they're going to be dealing with here. So Donald Trump's administration has attempted to crack down on various forms of visa fraud, and student visas are no exception. Although I do believe this was started under Obama, which, I mean, again, obviously, like, we're not in the business of praising Obama for his immigration policy. I mean, there's things you can obviously praise Obama for. That's not one of them. His immigration policy, I think, universally was not up to standard and really, really bad by any real left standard. Like, he just didn't do a good job when it comes to looking after immigrant communities, and I think that's something that's going to be a part of his legacy that's probably not going to be talked about, because a lot of the more good stuff is going to be talked about. The media generally did like Obama, but I think the thing is that he really did, like, his ICE started that. He has to take ownership for that, but it was largely I believe it started in 2016. Trump administration, Trump ICE officials, I think the truth is here, largely did carry this out. But even no matter what role Obama had in it, like that doesn't excuse him for having a lesser role in it by any stretch of the imagination. In 2016, another fake university, the University of Northern New Jersey, captured headlines after authorities revoked the visas of more than 1,000 students and indicted 21 middlemen who helped recruit them. At a time where ICE is facing increased scrutiny and some have been called to abolish the agency entirely, the new fake university here kind of sparks some outrage. This is a summary by a guy on Twitter named Matt Pierce. To recap, the feds created a scam school to entrap Indian immigrant visas, accredited it so it would look legit, took their money, then deported them for not knowing better, including students who transferred out after realizing it was a scam. So that is a pretty interesting situation. Whether fake universities have actually been effective in weeding out fraud, however, is up for debate. Attorneys for the students affected say that these operations are entrapment designed to trick unknowing international students into paying thousands of dollars to a university while having no way of knowing their actions were illegal. And that's, I think, is going to be the real question here is, are those actions actually going to be considered illegal in a court of law? Are they going to be really challenged here? And how many indicate, like, was it a university that was obviously not okay to join? This University of Farmington in Detroit or whatever. So that seems to be probably the biggest case here all throughout. But I do want to kind of get into how this scheme worked. Undercover ICE agents advertised the University of Farmington on its now-defunct website as business and STEM focused. Quote, located in the heart of the automotive and advanced manufacturing center of Southeast Michigan, the University of Farmington provides students from throughout the world a unique educational experience. Our dynamic business administration and STEM curriculum allows students to rapidly apply their knowledge, preparing them to succeed in an ever globalizing economy. So pretty much normal stuff when it comes to like advertising for a university. But according to the Detroit Free Press, the agents got a federal accreditation agency to give the University of Farmington its stamp of approval, and the DHS listed it as an approved institution on their own website. So that is something that kind of just shows you here the fact that how deceptive I think they really were being. They also offered cash incentives to recruiters who are now facing criminal charges for signing up to 600 students between February 2017 and January 2019. And to be completely clear here, these people, they work for ICE. Like, they were working for ICE to recruit these people and were being paid. And that is the whole thing that is kind of making a lot of people mad, just to say the least. Yeah, just making people a little mad there. Yeah, so I'm taking a look at the USA Today article about this. Scrolling through it here. So out of the 250 students arrested on administrative charges, nearly 80% were granted voluntary departure and departed the United States. The Detroit Office of ICE Homeland Security Investigation said in a Free Press statement, out of the remaining 20%, half of them had received a final order of removal. Some of them were removed by an immigration judge, and others were given expedited removal by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. The remaining 10% have filed for some sort of relief or contesting their removals with the Executive Office for Immigration Review. ICE said that in March, 161 students had been arrested. That now has increased to 250. The 250 arrests took place from January to July, ICE spokesperson said. So, no one really ever attended the school. It never really had any real curriculum. So that's the very awkward nature of that situation. So, oops, just went off the page there. But, they made a lot of money, Reddy said, of the U.S. government. That's the crazy thing. Because the thing that really, I think, gets under people's skin is they took the money of the students. An email from the university's president named Ali Malani told Students' graduate programs tuition is $2,500, as we said before, for average quarter, and the average cost is $1,000 per month. Reddy said 2 of the U.S. students were sent back to India through a voluntary departure agreement with ICE. Were denied entry into the U.S. as they tried to re-enter this year. No one has filed a lawsuit or claim against the U.S. government for collecting money. The money, which again is I think probably the boldest move in this whole little scam here, or for allegedly entrapping the students. Attorneys for ICE and the Department of Justice maintain the students should have known it was not a legitimate university because it did not have classes in a physical location. Some CBT programs have classes combined with work programs at companies, but pretty much their true intent could not be clearer. This is the case the government's making here. While enrolled at the university, 100% of the foreign citizen students never spent a single second in the classroom. If it was truly about obtaining an education, the university would not have been able to attract anyone because it had no teachers, classes, or educational services, which again, they technically had no way of knowing because all they got was a website, I guess. So that was that's a little bit of it's kind of the problem here in this situation. So Baker wrote that immigration and visa programs. This is the who is Baker here? Baker is probably some lawyer. We'll tell you who Baker is in a second. How about that? So Baker, the federal prosecutor Baker, there we go, said the cases raised some questions about the U.S. foreign student visa program, and Baker wrote that the immigration and visa programs have been hot-button topics. So Rampisa is this guy named Rampisa is one of the students who has, Prem Rampisa, 27 years old. He was deported first, or one of the major people deported that kind of agreed and is now trying to sue. Just knowing a little bit more about him, he was sentenced November 19th to 1 year in prison by Judge Gershwin Drain of the United States District Court. With the time already served of 295 days, he should be out in 2 to 3 months and would then be deported to India, said his attorney Wanda Cow. He pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit fraud and harbor aliens for profit. This is for Rampisa here. You would assume he would just be kind of just deported here. But that is the big problem here. And I think it kind of comes down to this ramped up treatment of, just in broad daylight, the ramped up treatment of immigrants here, and the real aggression with which they are trying to push the whole it's kind of a they're being very careful so they can't tell. I think this is more of a bigger step outside the bounds of the norm than they usually do, just immigration in general under Trump. But this is a just continuing pattern of just people trying to really do their best, I think, to ramp up some of the narrative and some of the fear that people are in the government are trying to instill in immigrants. I think the idea of just taking their money and then deporting them is especially going to get under some people's skin, because it's just not the cool thing to do by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not the cool thing to do. So there is that is definitely grabbing a lot of people's attention. So this is a little bit of a fun one here. There has been new reports about this state rep. If you two state reps, and actually, it feels like it's a rare occurrence when someone under the Intercept actually does real investigative groundwork and looks for emails and stuff like that. But this time, shout out to Washington Post Jeff Stein. Yeah, Jeff Stein doing his job. This is what see. This kind of caught my eye with the headline: "State lawmakers acknowledge lobbyists help craft their op-eds attacking Medicare for All." So that is very interesting. And we hear a lot of stuff about this and kind of the manipulating And the